The next film I have for you today is Monster. It's directed by Anthony Mandler, starring Kelvin Harrison Jr., Jennifer L., Tim Blake Nelson, Aesop Rocky, Nas, John David Washington, Jennifer Hudson, and Jeffrey Wright. It's based on a book of the same name. I forget the author's name. I apologize. And this is available on Netflix. Both of these are available on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
It's the story of a smart, likable 17-year-old film student from Harlem, and he sees his world turned upside down when he's charged with a murder. We follow the dramatic journey through a complex legal battle. So this is more of a legal drama, which I was not expecting. And I really, really like this movie.
Me
This
too.
movie it hits a little different. I got a little boy, and this is one of my fears, right? Like,
Yeah.
you hope that you can raise kids right, and and part of that is who they hang out with. This film deals with peer pressure and how young black boys are shown or seen. I like that the way this film kind of doles out the story. You get bits and pieces, but you don't get everything right away, right?
Yep.
Like normally
Right.
in the
That's what
beginning
I
of
was gonna
these
say.
films,
Hmm.
yeah, normally in the beginning of these films, you see the incident and you know for a fact that this is an
It did.
innocent person, right? But you don't know that. You don't know that in this movie, and
Yeah.
the movie makes you feel like one of the jurors going on and getting
Yes.
this information in real time.
Hmm.
And I hope that, like, I think the goal is to see if you instantly believe that this kid is a monster or that he did it, or have your preconceived notions challenged. Yeah, I really like this movie. I really dug it.
Yeah.
Gianni, let's start with you. What did you think?
Like you said, I like how the movie carried things. It didn't let everything all out at once. My favorite character was I liked ASAP Rocky's character too, not because I like ASAP Rocky, but I like his
A lot of people
character
like ASAP
compared.
Rocky for some reason.
Right.
Rihanna likes
ASAP,
ASAP Rocky apparently.
Yeah,
ASAP
she
Rocky,
does.
aka Anna's boyfriend. But go ahead. Go
AKA.
ahead.
I like that dynamic. And then I also liked I love the whole movie. I don't even know where to start. But I think that
Mhm.
my favorite parts were um the inner dialogue that the main character had, like, because it kind of helped you, like Micah said, it helped you see how other people were seeing black men and how they were convicted and things like that. So I really appreciate it. It kind of gave it like an artistic or um, just a deeper perspective into the movie. So you could like you said, play as a juror, like be yourself, deciding.
Yeah.
Liz, what do you think?
So I feel like I'm always, the Debbie Downer when it comes to movies, the demon seed when it comes to movies. First and foremost, I appreciate the cast for this movie. I thought the cast was excellent, particularly um, with Jennifer Hudson, who is an Academy Award winner, Jeffrey Wright, who should be an Academy
He's
Award winner
amazing.
at this amazing
He's amazing.
actor, amazing actor, but also with the actor, I think his name is Kevin Harrison, is that his name? Who played the
Kelvin
main
Harrison,
character,
yes.
Calvin Harris, Steve, who played Steve Harmon. Amazing performance. Amazing
Hmm.
performance. Very captivating, very believable. As it relates to the actual storyline, did I like this movie? Yes. I did like it challenged me in how I thought about the situation. And it challenged me, like like Gianni said, or like you said, Michael, it got you to look at this issue from a juror's perspective. And in the beginning, I felt one way, but as it started to unfold, I started to feel a
Yeah.
different way. And so at the end, I think there was a very poignant question that was posed to the viewing audience as at the end, where they asked you, do you think he is a monster? And my answer to that is yes. I think he's a very deceptive monster because he lied. He lied about his.
That was going to be my question too.
He
Like,
lied
what
about
do
his.
people think?
What
I'm
do
iffy
people
on that one.
afterwards?
He lied about his
I
participation, and not only did he lie, but I didn't understand why the Evans character, um, John David, what's his name? Washington's character,
Washington.
Denzel's son, y'all. Why he didn't come forward and give the totality of, because he never said, like, he kept referring to um Steve's character as ASAP Rocky's guy, right? He
Harmon.
never gave a true story about what that interaction was like. And then when we see the end through Steve's eyes, we see that, okay, John David was there when they told him, go into the store, when ASAP told him, go into the store, be the lookout. He took the kid's bike and he told the kid, give us a signal. And that's exactly what he did. It doesn't really, court of law, it doesn't matter necessarily what his motivation for that is unless he makes his motivation clear.
Can
And so
Now,
I was just,
I think
when
the
you all
movie
want to jump
does.
in,
store and
Liz
it
said
was
some
the
things.
light play.
She put,
It was
Right,
the light
that's
play and the filmmaker. There was a signal, but it was not intended to be a signal. It was his filmmaker because he stepped out, Liz, and it was
yeah.
the way that the light
Well,
was
he didn't
framed,
signal them.
and he didn't
I
signal
he
them.
think,
did
It was
did
all
that
light
motion.
play.
He did that motion earlier in the film. He did it earlier in the film when he's like,
Yep.
you have to watch, you have to pay attention when Gennaro Jarrell is when he's arguing with him. He's looking through his camera and he kind of does that just to see how the light, because he's a filmmaker, so he's trying to figure
I
out
think
the
that was the whole
lighting.
point of
Oh,
using a filmmaker was to
I didn't see
to
that.
play on the fact
Okay.
that he was
Yeah.
actually a filmmaker, and also to use the whole
Now
storytelling
that doesn't
concept as a lie.
now that doesn't
He's
necessarily
complicit.
mean
that's left up,
that it wasn't intentional. That's left up to your
exactly.
interpretation.
That's left up to interpretation. And let's not forget, he had ample opportunity to get out of that situation. He could have run away. He could have told the shop owner what was going on. He could have made a distraction, or he could have gone over there and lied.
But he
And
didn't
been
know
like,
what was about to happen. He wasn't sure what was about to happen.
come on now. Come
He
You
on.
had no,
also
he had no
have to.
information. They gave him no information. They bullied him into going. He's like, go look over there. Tell me if it's
Tell
clear.
by his reaction when he first asked why. And then when he's apprehensive about going in, he knew some shit wasn't right. Now, he may not have known that a guy, like, I don't think anybody knew the shop owner
Yeah,
was
he
going to
didn't know
die.
to that extent.
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody knew that.
So I'm curious, how
However,
many of us think that? Okay, so all right. So one thing I agree with Mike. I love the fact that they kind of did the story, the backstory in unison with the courtroom drama, because like you said, as a juror, you kind of feel like, okay, you're getting the story, but you're getting the truth as you're getting what the jury's getting, right? And so you're trying to find out if you've been deceived. So I'm curious, how many of us think that once we got the truth, right, and whatever the truth was, that he was still guilty, that you would
I
have said
do.
Oh,
I
he's
do.
complicit. 93 steps.
guilty of something.
93
See,
steps.
okay, so I agree
Of
with you.
something.
He is
Yeah.
complicit.
Especially as it relates to the law. That's felony murder.
Yeah.
That's felony
But
murder.
I don't think he
But I don't
was.
think
I
he's
don't
a
think he was guilty of
monster.
murder. I can't put him in guilty of murder.
That's not
Accessory
what the law
to.
says.
Accessory.
And
Yeah, I would give him accessory.
he
I don't
could have
think-
used the truth of that story to his advantage. And he didn't. He sat there and said, I never went in there on their behalf.
Well,
I
let me ask
never
you
went-
this then: would you have done the same thing in the same situation?
I don't know. I don't think I could say that. I don't think I could
Mhm.
do that. Because
I think I would have done the exact same thing he did, because I would have done whatever it took not to see my ass in jail.
For them, yeah, on behalf of them.
So you mean, would you have done the same thing
as Harmon. Yeah. Would you have done this at any point? Well, okay, at any point actually. But I was thinking, like, would you have told the truth in the court?
have spun it differently to my lawyer because the lawyer didn't even know the truth.
But would you lie on the stand? And it wasn't a full lie. I mean,
That's a hard question.
But would you lie on the stand to
Would you
save your
lie?
life?
A lie is a lie.
Yes.
So you would not do what he did. You would tell the truth.
A lie is a lie, especially as it relates to someone losing their life. A lie is a lie.
But the question is, would you do what he did to not go to jail?
I would have told a better lie.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So yes, you would have lied.
I understand, him not wanting to go to jail and him doing whatever it takes to, not be in prison. But again, that goes to my response to the question. He is kind of a monster in that respect, a deceptive monster, not a monster.
You know how many people lie on the stand to save their lives, save their asses?
That doesn't mean
that doesn't make everybody.
But
And the fact that we're calling
definitely
it because
no.
it's a black guy on the stand, we're calling the black guy a monster. Because there's a lot of monsters. That means like virtually, and I would say 90% of the people who are trying to save their lives in some way will tell some sort of lie to do that.
You know how many times
It's true.
each of us on this panel has had a monster-like characteristic when we're trying to save ourselves? Now, to say
that's true.
that natural
That's
and
true.
innate personality is a different conversation. But
You're saying in that moment he was a monster.
So I have a follow-up question for Neo and Johnny, just based on self-preservation. So lying on the stand, you would do in order to preserve yourself, but you wouldn't blow somebody out of the goddamn airlock to ensure your survival.
Lie on the stand, yes, I would definitely lie on the stand, and
It's
yes, I
coming
would
for
save
them.
someone else.
So that these people can go to jail and have their lives ruined for decades, but you can't give someone a quick out to make sure that nobody else
he did lie on
out.
he did lie on the stand to put those people
It's
in
an
jail.
admission.
He just lied on the stand.
The difference. Sorry.
He lied on the
This is
stand to
you
save
saying
himself.
that most people would lie on the stand to save themselves, and he does save himself for sure. And these guys
But he
might
did
get
by
extra
lying
years
on the
for it.
stand. He didn't change their fate.
Oh no, and this
Just
isn't
change
one
his
movie
own
to another. It's your statement of you would lie on the stand
Yeah.
to preserve yourself,
save
but you're
yourself.
not going to blow someone out of the airlock to save yourself.
No, I'm not gonna kill somebody to save
Damn.
myself. No.
It's different.
It's self-preservation.
Yeah, it's different.
Right. There's a degree there's a
There's
degree I'm
levels
willing to
to
go to self-preserve. Yes.
I mean, if you think about this guy, if you think about Steve, he still could have lived in jail. And that was another thing, Micah. I thought that they should have shown a little bit more what he was going through in jail. Because we kind of
I do too.
saw the
I do too.
psychological part of it a little bit, but we really didn't see the raw part of it. This is a young little chicken.
This is a
17-year-old.
17-year-old in a big boy prison.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
would have done.
Something would have happened to him.
Exactly.
Even
Yeah.
if they had tried to say Nas protected him or something, Nas's character protected him. At least do that.
That was Nas. It took me a minute to figure out that was Nas.
Really?
didn't
I saw it immediately.
He
I heard
did
his
look
voice. I was
different,
like, I know
right?
that's not. I didn't. Matter of fact, I wasn't even looking at the
He's
screen. I
still-
heard his voice, and I was like, okay, that's
Very
not.
true.
I don't recognize him as Nas. Maybe it's because he no
Yeah,
longer has
he's-
that chip. Maybe that's what it is. I haven't gotten
Robbie, did you
Forgot.
get to say? I don't. Did we hear Robbie? I don't remember.
I got to say a couple of things, and I really enjoyed a lot of the cinematic aspects of the movie. And as far as it being relatable, I think that's where it misses the mark for me, because I never lived in a metropolitan center, and I've never been exposed to or a victim of racial profiling. Like Micah was saying, he's got a young lad, and that's part of the education process. That's something that he's thinking about, where that's never been a part of my reality. One of the scenes was when early on in the movie, when the prosecution, what does he say? He looks the part, and I was just like, "Damn!"
Yeah,
And
Because this is a kid that excels in school, who's creative, who's a wonderful brother, who seems to be
He's
a good
different.
son. He just has, unfortunately, because of where he lives, he's exposed to some bad elements, and those bad elements come back to haunt him later on. Yeah,
I
but
think knowing
that's
predisposition was very important. I think it was also
Mhm.
important to show that, like you just said, Rob, this is a kid that didn't come from the streets, that wasn't stereotypical hood. He lived in a two-parent home, two working parents, two loving parents, never been in any trouble in his life. And yet here we are. So this was
Yep.
another instance or example of how the elements can run up on someone, can run up on a young man who's living in an urban environment, even though it's a distant urban environment, kind of, if you will. Because this was a kid who never thought he wasn't a gangbanger. He knew ASAP Rocky, but that wasn't his boy. Each time they
Yeah.
interacted, you could see hesitation on his part. Like,
Yep.
all right, I'll say hi just so I can keep peace. But I'm not
And in his
really
internal dialogue, he says, even said in his internal dialogue, I'm not really sure why I was, even dealing with this dude. I don't remember his exact words, but he kind of said that.
That
I
happens more
love the inner
often than
dialogue.
we care to acknowledge with a lot of these kids in this country. That happens a lot. My point is, and I'm not saying that the character was a bad person. However, I think that there are elements of all of our personalities that can exhibit being a monster without
Mhm.
being a bad
Good.
person.
I mean, considering you
Great
guys
point.
would throw somebody out the airlock for just Stowaway, we know who the monsters are on this panel.
For Stowaway. I'm not dying for Stowaway. Nope. We haven't even gotten to that point.
You guys would never change that answer?
Nope.
No.
It's a numbers
If it
game,
meant
Johnny.
that I
It's
have
not
to,
worth.
do not take a spaceship with these two over here.
Don't stow away on my ship and use up resources that I need to live. No,
All right,
don't do that.
we're actually out of time.
I'm not dying for you for bullshit. Certainly not going to jail for you. Like, y'all want to be a snitch? Lizzie,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm not going to jail for you. I'm not.
All right. Unfortunately, we are out of time. So, Micah, can you just tell people where they can find you, find your podcasts, Black on Black Cinema, and Nerdpocalypse as well?
Just Google Black on Black Cinema or Google the Nerdpocalypse. We are everywhere that you can listen to a podcast on. Please spread y'all. I'm sorry. I'm discombobulated because y'all are wild, man. Like I love it. I love it. It's like this half of the screen is just like, nope, let them go. This one is just like, well, maybe give them a chance. And I can see both sides.
You're
I can
in
see both
between.
sides, but
Yeah.
but ultimately, I'm kind of going this way.
Shoot.
I'm
Boo, boo, Micah.
It sucks to have a good heart, Neo.
There's always room for one more on Team Wanna Live.
Team want to live. Team want everyone to live. This is team everyone lives. This is team everybody lives.
That you, NASA. I'm surprised you, NASA. This is
What? Well, like I said,
am
first of all,
surprised that your answer-
NASA would ensure that some of these contingencies would not have happened, especially after all the Apollo issues they had.
Oh, well, that's why they said it's not NASA, it's Hyperion. This is a private.
Right.
Private
Hyperion.
It's Elon Musk. This
It's
is
Elon, right? So the equivalent of
It's always
SpaceX.
his fault.
But all right, so yeah, tell them again where you are. You said anywhere they find podcasts. Okay, Nerdpocalypse, all those, right?
The Nerdpocalypse, Dense Pixels. We talk about video games. Black
got
and Black Cinema,
Instagram?
we talk about movies. I personally have an Instagram, but unless you want to see a bunch of toy photographies and some pictures
I'm
of
sure
my child,
somebody wants to see some toy photography.
I'll tell you what. I'll give it to you next. I'll give it to you next time.
All right, my friend
I gotta make
Micah,
sure it's
thank
all
you
clean.
so much for joining us. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. All right, we'll talk to you
All
soon.
right, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Micah.
I think this is very educational. I think this is very educational for our viewing audience to know who we are and what you're dealing
Yes.
with.
I think what we need to start doing, when we do movie time, I think we need to put out there earlier which movie we're going to watch so people can watch with us, so they can be like in on the
Yeah.
conversation.
That's
Okay.
true.
We,
Let's do
we
that.
might have to do that like a week before, be like, this is the movies we watching for movie time.
We're
Okay, so
challenging you all now.
popcorn.
Watch Stowaway and tell me whether you think you would give your life for Michael, the Stowaway. Watch Monster and tell us what you think about the main character, Steven.
That's right.